think about your goals. The very act of thinking about your goals makes you positive and purposeful again. There's a large body of psychological literature that revolves around the concept of locus of control theory. In more than 50 years of research, psychologists have determined that your personal locus of control is the determining factor of your happiness or unhappiness in life. And here's why. A person with an internal locus of control is a person who feels that he or she is in complete control of his or her life. This person feels strong, confident, and powerful. He or she is generally optimistic and positive. He or she feels terrific about him or herself and feels very much in charge of his or her destiny. On the other hand, a person with an external locus of control is a person who feels controlled by external factors, by their boss, their bills, their marriage, their childhood problems, and their current situation. They feel out of control, and as a result, they feel weak, angry, fearful, negative, hostile, and disempowered. The good news is that there's a direct relationship between the amount of responsibility you accept and the amount of control you feel. The more you say, I am responsible, the more of an internal locus of control you develop within yourself, and the more powerful and confident you feel. There's also a direct relationship between responsibility and happiness. The more responsibility you accept, the happier you become. It seems that all three, responsibility, control, and happiness, go together. The more responsibility you accept, the greater amount of control you feel you have. The greater amount of control you feel you have, the happier and more confident you become. When you feel positive and in control of your life, you will set bigger and more challenging goals for yourself. You will also have the drive and determination to achieve them. You will feel as if you hold your whole life in your own hands, and that you can make it into whatever you decide to. The starting point of goal setting, then, is for you to realize that you have virtually unlimited potential to be, have, or do anything you really want in life if you simply want it badly enough and are willing to work long enough and hard enough to achieve it. The second part of goal setting is for you to accept complete responsibility for your life and for everything that happens to you with no blaming and no excuses. With these two concepts in mind, that you have unlimited potential and that you are completely responsible, you are now ready to move to the next step, which is to begin designing your ideal future. Chapter 3. Create your own future. In more than 3,300 studies of leaders conducted over the years, there's a special quality that stands out, one quality that all great leaders have in common. It is the quality of vision. Leaders have vision, non-leaders do not. Earlier I said that the most important discovery in all of human history is that you become what you think about most of the time. What is it then that leaders think about most of the time? And the answer is that leaders think about the future and where they are going and what they can do to get there most of the time. We call this leadership quality future orientation. Leaders think about the future and what they want to accomplish and where they want to arrive sometime down the road. Leaders think about what they want and what can be done to achieve it. The good news is that when you begin to think about your future as well, you begin to think like a leader, and you will soon get the same results that leaders get. In personal strategic planning, you should begin with a long-term view of your life as well. You should begin by practicing idealization in everything you do. In the process of idealization, you create a 5-year fantasy for yourself and begin thinking about what your life would look like in 5 years if it were perfect in every respect. The biggest single obstacle to setting goals is self-limiting beliefs. These are areas where you believe yourself to be limited in some way. You may believe yourself to be inadequate or inferior in areas such as intelligence, ability, talent, creativity, personality, or something else. As a result, you sell yourself short. By underestimating yourself, you set either no goals or low goals that are far below what you are truly capable of accomplishing. By combining idealization and future orientation, you cancel or neutralize this process of self-limitation. You imagine for the moment that you have no limitations at all. You imagine that you have all the time, talents, and abilities you could ever require to achieve any goal you could set for yourself. No matter where you are in life, you imagine that you have all the friends, contacts, and relationships you need to open every door and achieve anything you could really want. You imagine that you have no limitations whatsoever on what you could be, have, or do in the pursuit of the goals that are really important to you. When you practice idealization and future orientation, you make no compromises with your dreams and visions for yourself and your future. You don't settle for smaller goals or half successes. Instead, you dream big dreams and project yourself forward mentally as though you are one of the most powerful people in the universe. You create your perfect future. You decide what you really want before you come back to the present moment and deal with what is possible for you within your current situation. So, start with your business and career. Imagine that your work life was perfect 5 years from now. Answer these questions. Number 1, what would it look like? Number 2, if your work life were perfect, what would you be doing? Number 3, where would you be doing it? Number 4, who would you be working with? What level of responsibility would you have? 5, if you were at the top of your field, what kind of skills and abilities would you have? Number 6, what kind of goals would you be accomplishing? And number 7, what level of status would you have in your field if your career was perfect sometime in the future? When you answer these questions, imagine that you have no limits. Imagine that everything is possible for you. Imagine that you have a magic slate. That means you can write down anything you want. You can erase anything that may have happened in the past and create whatever picture you desire for your future. You can clean the slate at any time and start over. You have no limits. When you have clear, exciting goals and ideals, you will feel happier about yourself and your world. You'll be more positive and optimistic. You'll be more cheerful and enthusiastic. You will feel internally motivated to get up and get going every morning, because every step you're taking will be moving you in the direction of something that is important to you. Resolve to think about your ideal future most of the time. Remember, the very best days of your life lie ahead. The happiest moments you will ever experience are still to come. The highest income you will ever earn is going to materialize in the months and years ahead. The future is going to be better than anything that may have happened in your past. There are no limits. The clearer you can be about your long-term future, the more rapidly you will attract people and circumstances into your life to help make that future a reality.
So here's what you should do in order to effectively apply the 80-20 rule to goal setting and to your overall productivity. First, take a piece of paper and write down 10 goals. Then ask yourself, if you could only accomplish one of the goals on that list today, within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? I ask this question of my clients all over the world. What is your most important goal in life right now, which you need to know, by the way, if you want to be successful? Then pick the second most important goal. What you'll find is that after you complete this exercise, you will have determined the most important 20% of your goals that will help you more than anything else you do. Second, you should work at those goals that you have chosen all the time. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they're busy working on tasks that are of low value or no value, while they are procrastinating on the one or two activities that can make a real difference to their companies and to their careers. The most valuable tasks you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex, but the payoff and rewards for completing them can be tremendous. They can actually change your whole future. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities, or is it in the bottom 80%? The rule for this is simple. Resist the temptation to clear up small things first. That's the greatest killer. We become so involved in little things, and little things multiply. They just become more and more, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you've accomplished nothing. If you choose to start your day working on low-value tasks, you'll soon develop the habit of always starting and working on low-value tasks. You'll be like the horse that pulls the wheel around in a circle all day, never makes any progress. Finally, I want to tell you about a study that's just been done about the attitudes of rich people versus poor people with regard to goal setting. What they found is that 85% of rich people have one big goal that they work on all the time. Only 3% of poor people have a big goal, and they don't work on it very much. So if you want to be wealthy, do what wealthy people do. Pick one big goal and work on it all the time. And if you do, it will change your life. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this. When your goals are clear, you will come up with exactly the right answer to achieve your goals at exactly the right time. We all have big goals in life, and some of them may seem out of reach at times, but nothing is impossible if you have the right plan. Having an effective strategy to help you achieve challenging goals can be the most important key to your success. So, to help you overcome any obstacle, I've put together my best practices for how to reach challenging goals wherever you happen to be in life right now. First, it's important to focus your goals on what they call SMART goal setting, S-M-A-R-T. Not all goals are created equal, and it takes a strategic and smart approach to reaching challenging goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bounded. Specifically for challenging goals, that A word for achievable is incredibly important. While it's important to push yourself out of your comfort zone, if your goal is not achievable from the start, you're just setting yourself up for failure. If you fear your goal has a high probability of failure, perhaps it is simply too aspirational. It's too big. Which brings me to my next tip. Break your goal down into manageable tasks, what we call bite-sized tasks. This helps you to keep your goals in motion and achieve them one small step at a time. You know the old question, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Same with big goals. Remember, each step you take brings you that much closer to reaching your goals. And by the way, each step you take motivates you to take the next step. So while they may not seem monumental in the moment, all of these daily tasks add up to incredible accomplishments. Similarly, my third tip for reaching challenging goals is to set specific milestones. You can help yourself stay motivated in any situation, whether it's hunting for a new job, staying motivated in school, or hitting a new financial goal by creating and celebrating milestones along the way. When you check a task off your to-do list, no matter how small that task may be, it is a victory that pushes you one step closer to your goals. Celebrate your small successes along the way, whether it be taking time off, spending time with loved ones, or simply reflecting on your latest achievement. These moments of reflection on your hard work help you to remember your why, your big picture plan. The fourth, and my personal favorite tip, is to eat that frog. Mark Twain said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that is probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is your biggest, hardest, most important task. You must develop the habit or the routine of eating your frog before you do anything else, and without taking too much time to think about it. When using the Eat That Frog strategy, make a list the night before of all the tasks you need to do the next day. Once you begin the hardest task of the day, work steadily and single-mindedly until it is 100% complete.
The most powerful technique for improving your intelligence and increasing your creativity is what I call mindstorming. The way it works is simple. The results that you get will be so amazing as to be life-changing. You begin the mindstorming process by first getting a clean sheet of paper. At the top of this page, you write your goal or problem in the form of a question. The simpler and more specific the question, the better will be the quality of the answers that you generate in response to it. For example, instead of writing a question like, how could I make more money, you would write, how can I double my income in the next 24 months? Even better, if you are earning $50,000 per year today, your question should be, how can I earn $100,000 per year by December 31st of a specific year? Each of your answers should be written using the 3P formula. It should be personal, positive, and in the present tense. In other words, your answers should be written as affirmations or instructions from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. Once you have written your question at the top of the page, you then discipline yourself to generate at least 20 answers to that question. You can write down more than 20 answers to the question, but it is essential in this exercise that you set a goal for a minimum of 20. Your first 3 to 5 answers will be easy. You will quickly come up with answers like work harder, start earlier, stay later, work on higher value tasks. Your next 5 answers will be more difficult. You will have to drill down and dig deeper to come up with less obvious ways but more creative ways to answer your question. Your last 10 answers will be the most difficult of all. Many people find this part of the exercise so difficult that their minds go blank. Their eyes glaze over. They become lightheaded with a rush of blood to their brains that takes place when you begin this process of pumping mental iron. However, no matter how long it takes, especially the first few times you practice this exercise, you must discipline yourself to keep writing until you have at least 20 answers. Sometimes the 20th answer that you generate will be the breakthrough answer that enables you to save yourself thousands of dollars and many hours of hard work. Often, your last answer is the inspired idea that changes your whole life and career. Once you have 20 answers, go back over your list and review your answers. Then, select at least one action that you can take immediately to begin moving yourself more rapidly toward your goal or toward solving the problem. You can multiply the effectiveness of this process by taking the very best answer that you identified in the first list of 20 and writing it at the top of a fresh sheet of paper in the form of a question. Then, see if you cannot generate 20 answers to that question as well. This combination exercise will rev you up mentally, like stepping on the accelerator of a car while the transmission is in neutral. Your mind will sparkle and dance with mental energy and bristle with ideas like the bright lights of a Christmas tree. For example, your first question could be, how can I double my income to $100,000 over the next 24 months? One of your answers could be, I work 2 extra hours each day. You could then transfer this answer to a new sheet of paper and phrase it as a question. What can I do to get 2 extra hours of productive time each day? You can then begin writing 20 different things that you can do to save time, gain time, and spend 2 additional hours on productive work each day. Whatever answer you choose, put it into action immediately. Do something, do anything. The faster you take action on this exercise, the greater and more continuous will be the flow of ideas as you go throughout the day. If you generate these ideas and then do nothing with them, the creative flow will slow down and stop. The very best time to do this exercise is first thing in the morning, right after you have rewritten your goals in your spiral notebook. Each morning, you can take one goal, rewrite it as a question, and then generate 20 answers to that question. You can then immediately get busy and implement one of your answers. You can perform this exercise repeatedly on the same goal if the goal is big enough and important enough to you. Don't worry about writing down the same answers over and over again. The more you practice this exercise, the more likely it is that you will trigger completely unexpected breakthrough ideas. This may require several days or even weeks of work before the flash of inspiration takes place. You must be patient and determined. It will come. As I mentioned before, successful people are intensely solution-oriented. The fact is that life is a continuous succession of problems and difficulties without end. This river of problems is only interrupted by the occasional crisis, which makes the problem seem small in comparison, at least for a little while. In fact, if you are living a busy life, you will probably experience a crisis of some kind every 2 to 3 months throughout your life. You will have business crises, family crises, financial crises, health crises, and other crises. The problems and crises never stop. They keep coming like the waves of the ocean. The only thing you can control is your responses to these problems and crises, and therein lies the key to your success.
You need the courage to continually move yourself in the direction of your biggest goals and ambitions. You need to be willing to face discomfort in order for you to grow. You need the courage to launch in faith with no guarantees of success. Someone once wrote, "If every obstacle must first be overcome, nothing will ever get done." Courageous people are those who have a dream and set a goal. They make a plan, and they take the first step with no assurances and no guarantees that their efforts will result in success. However, if you look upon every step forward as a learning experience, and every setback as a valuable lesson that has been sent to you to make you stronger and better, you will not be afraid to launch in faith into the unknown. You need the courage to risk failure. You need the courage to endure constant setbacks and disappointments and temporary defeats. You need to learn to deal with failure by realizing that failure is an indispensable prerequisite for success. You can't succeed without failing, and failing lots of times. Remember that wonderful quote from Thomas J. Watson Sr., the founder of IBM? He said, "If you want to be successful faster, you must double your rate of failure." He said, "Success lies on the far side of failure." You need the courage to treat failure as an opportunity to more intelligently begin again. You need to overcome the fear of failure by doing the things you fear over and over until the fear is gone. And then by resolving to bounce rather than break when things don't work out for you. You need the courage to turn toward danger continuously, to face the things you fear. Now, identify all the fear situations in your life that cause you stress or anxiety today. Decide what the worst possible outcome of each of these situations might be. Resolve to accept the worst should it occur. And then take action to resolve each of these situations. Refuse to allow a fear situation to remain in your life, dominating your thinking and emotions and holding you back. You need the courage to be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. All peak performers continually make decisions, make mistakes, learn from them, pick themselves up, self-correct, and carry on. Successful people are not those who necessarily make the right decisions all the time, but by hanging in there, they make their decisions right. If they make a mistake, they accept it. They learn as much as possible from it, failing, making mistakes, and carry on. The more you fail and the more mistakes you make, the smarter you become, and the more likely it is that you will eventually achieve your goals. You also need the courage to accept complete responsibility for your life, which means to take ownership for results. You need the courage to refuse to make excuses or to defend yourself. You need the courage to say, over and over again, I am responsible. I am responsible, and refuse to blame anybody else. When something goes wrong, you focus on the solution rather than the problem or the person. You ask, what do we do from here? What's the next step? What's the solution? What action should we take? You then pick yourself up and carry on, extracting the wheat, the lessons from the situation, and throwing away the chaff, the things that happened that you cannot change. The final courage you need is the courage to persist longer than anyone else. Persistence is the quality that will ultimately guarantee your success. Your willingness to persist in the face of every adversity can be your greatest asset. The ability to persist is the number one quality for success in every field in life. It can be the one factor that guarantees your success in the end. If you refuse to quit, you must ultimately succeed. Just as in baseball, you won't ultimately hit a home run unless you keep on swinging. In 30 years of studying successful people, I've discovered one fact over and over. No one was ever defeated until they accepted defeat as a reality. No one can ever defeat you but yourself.
Decide what you really want in life, financial independence, and then make a decision that you will persist until you succeed. You will never give up until you achieve it. Make the decision, shut the door behind you as far as you're concerned, is you will never give up. Failure is not an option.
So you overcome procrastination with a very, very simple method. It was developed by W. Clement Stone when he was a young man. He built a fortune of $500 million, and this is one of the central principles of his life. It's simply this. Every morning when you get up, say over and over to yourself, do it now, do it now, do it now, I do it now, do it now. Whenever you have this tendency to procrastinate, program your subconscious mind with this automatic conditioned command, do it now, do it now, do it now. The key to overcoming procrastination is to develop a sense of urgency. Be the kind of person who gets things done quickly. Be the kind of person who launches fast on a task. One of the ways to launch fast on a task is to take the task and break it up, what is called salami slicing it. Slice a piece of salami. Don't try to eat a whole loaf of salami, you eat it one slice at a time. Take your task and break it up into small pieces and do one piece at a time. Say over and over to yourself, do it now, do it now, do it now. Do you know that less than 2% of the population have a sense of urgency? And that there's not an example of a successful person anywhere who does not have a sense of urgency? That if you just develop a sense of urgency, when somebody gives you a task, that you get on it and do it fast, that alone will move you into the top ranks in a very short period of time. In a study done amongst 104 chief executive officers 2 years ago, they asked what would be the qualities that would put a person on the fast track in their career. You know the conclusion they came back to with? 2 qualities. Number 1, the ability to set priorities, to choose what was relevant over what was irrelevant. And number 2 was the ability to get the job done fast. If all you did was this, set priorities and get the job done fast, that alone would cause you to stand out from 80 to 90% of the people that you work with. Delegate everything that you possibly can. Now, what does delegation mean? Delegation is very simple. What it means is this, is that whatever your hourly rate is, let us say your goal is to earn $50,000 a year. If you work 8 hours a day, that's $25 an hour. You got that? So you're a $25 an hour person. Now, the only way you can make $25 an hour is if you do $25 or more work. And the only way you can do $25 an hour or more work is if you take anything that can be done by anybody who earns less than you per hour, 20, 15, 10, 5, and so on, and delegate, outsource, have somebody else do it. The most valuable resource in the world today is productive time. And do not waste your productive time dropping off laundry, getting your car washed, mowing your lawn, cleaning your house. Do not waste your productive time doing things that you can hire people to do for $5 or $10 an hour. Use your productive time on tasks that are more expensive, of higher value. Delegate everything that you possibly can. In fact, its general conclusion is this, is that if you cannot delegate, if you cannot get other people to do things of lower priority for you, you cannot grow, you cannot develop, you cannot be successful. You may be successful running a shoe shine stand, but that's about the limit of it. Delegation requires one key word, clarity. Clarity. The reason people don't delegate is because they've delegated and other people have dropped the ball. But the major reason why people don't
fulfill the task that you've given to them is because of lack of clarity. So when you delegate, here are the keys. First of all, think through what you want done. Write it down. Second of all, pick the right person to do it. Don't give a major task to an incapable person. Third of all, make it crystal clear what you want done and when you want it done. And fourth of all, check, review, inspect, keep on top of it to make sure it is done on time. Never assume that anything will be done on time. I read something years ago, a great sign. It said that assumption lies at the root of all foul-ups. Never assume that anybody or anything will be done on time unless you check on it yourself.
Move out of your comfort zone. It's the courage to move into your zone of discomfort where you feel awkward and clumsy and sometimes alone. The comfort zone is one of the greatest enemies of human potential and of your potential. When people get into a comfort zone, they strive to stay in that comfort zone, even if they're not happy with their situation. Often their whole lives pass them by while they're furnishing and reinforcing their little rut of medium performance.
Set a goal and make a plan to become very good in each of those areas. Just think, you may be only one critical skill away from top performance in your job. Here's one of the greatest questions you will ever ask and answer. It's this: what one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career? Let me repeat that. What one skill, if you developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on your career? You should use this question to guide your career for the rest of your life. Look into yourself for the answer. You probably know what it is. Ask your boss this question. Ask your coworkers. Ask your friends and your family. Whatever the answer is, find out and then go to work to bring up your performance in this area. There's an old saying that by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is for you to get your mind off the huge task in front of you and focus on a single action that you can take. Confucius once wrote, "A journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step." This is a great strategy for overcoming procrastination and getting more things done faster. You can accomplish the biggest task in your life by disciplining yourself to take it just one step at a time. Your job is to go as far as you can see. You will then see far enough to go further. To accomplish a great task, you must step out in faith and have complete confidence that your next step will soon become clear to you. Remember the wonderful advice, leap and the net will appear. A great life or a great career is built by performing one task at a time, quickly and well, and then going on to the next task. Financial independence is achieved by saving a little money every single month, year after year. Health and fitness are accomplished by just eating a little less and exercising a little more day after day and month after month. You can overcome procrastination and accomplish extraordinary things by just taking the first step, by getting started towards your goal, and then by taking it one step at a time. Now here's how you can put this idea into action. Select any goal, task, or project